Yo, what is happening, YouTube? I wanted to go ahead and bring out a Tekken related video. In this case, I'm bringing out Tekken 7. And the reason why I'm bringing you guys an older version of Tekken is because of the fact I wanted to talk about King and how I feel like Tekken 8 is making him lose his identity, unfortunately, right? There was a lot of key differences between Tekken 7 King and Tekken 8 King, and unfortunately Tekken 8 King has just been severely dumbed down, and his uniqueness is just going away. Tekken 8 is taking away from his unique identity, unfortunately, and I wanted to break him down in Tekken 7 so I can go ahead and hopefully have you guys understand why I've been dissatisfied with Tekken 8, along with a lot of other people right now. They're really enforcing this 50-50 style, this nightmare, really, and this aggressive gameplay, and just forcing you just to have to guess. Dumbing down the whole game just to guess, right? And that's not what a lot of us played Tekken before, especially a lot of the veterans. So I wanted to break down King and show you guys why. So before we get started, all I ask is go ahead and give a like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel out, and it keeps me motivated to provide quality content for you guys, especially about the stuff that I'm passionate about. So thank you guys so much for coming by the channel. I really do appreciate you guys and your input and insight. Thank you guys so much. So starting with King and starting with his mids, I want to talk about his mids because his mids are a little bit different here. Starting with down forward 2, we know this move. This move was infamous, right? This move is infamous in Tekken 8 because it feels like it tracks both sides. And as well, it's super hit confirmable, and it can go ahead and lead into his Jaguar sprint 50-50 issue that he has in season 2 right now, right? In Tekken 7, this was different. Not only was the timing a little bit different, you also had to be very character specific with how you did your combo. So with Armor King, since he was a little bit of a bulky character, you actually had to add a micro step to that move, which was not easy to do. That is not that easy to do. And so, and a lot of times that will whiff, as you can see here. And even if we have it straightened out, that whiffs. So it's not consistent. That is not consistent at all, as you can see. Right? So that added a little bit of a skill gap to his down forward 2-1 counter hit problem and that he has in Tekken 8, right? Another thing too is that the tracking, at least to me, feels a lot more weaker in Tekken 7 compared to Tekken 8. If you step his weak side, look what happens. Both those moves whiff. Both of them, right? You don't have the issue where no matter which side you step, it feels like down forward 2 is going to track you and counter hit launch you, right? You don't have that issue in Tekken 7, right? Another mid I wanted to talk about is his forward 4. Tekken 7, his forward 4 doesn't have the low hitbox that Tekken 8 has. So when you do a Shining Wizard or Power Bomb Ender with King in a combo, let me actually go ahead and record it. As we know, when you do forward 4 after this Ender, this hits if the opponent does anything except to not press. This is not the case in Tekken 8. In Tekken 7, if I hold back or tech row or anything like that, it doesn't hit me because the hitbox is still a little bit more up. So that actually complicates his ground game and his Ogi game a little bit more in Tekken 7 compared to Tekken 8. All you have to do is guess between forward 4 and a ground throw. So already that 50-50 mix and just you having to guess is already happening in Tekken 8 just because of forward 4, right? And another smaller move I wanted to talk about is his forward 1. His forward homing move, granted, took a little bit more of a wind up. On counter hit, you get a full combo, right? And then you can get whatever combo ender you want out of that, right? And I think the theory for that is because if you get a counter hit on such a long wind up move, it was a launcher, right? Unlike now where in Tekken 8, all you get is people's elbow, right? For the most part. Now, what you can do is you could still put them in the situation where King could do his up forward power crush into the Jaguar sprint, and you're still going to put your opponent in a crazy situation, right? So that potential is still there with down forward 2, forward 4, and forward 1, right? This isn't the case in Tekken 7, right? So moving on, we talked about his mids. I wanted to go ahead and also talk about his forward neutral 2. We all know this move. This move really gets on a lot of people's nerves, right? But here's the thing, I don't know if you saw that already. The very key difference of King in Tekken 7 and his neutral 2 is the fact that on hit, only +1. Only +1. And the animation was a little bit awkward. So what's crazy is that if this missed, if it whiffed, look at the recovery on that. It is so slow, right? And on block, guess what? It is -14 on block, not -13, -14. And the thing about being -14 on block, especially if you're at against the wall, that little gap really opens up to some crazy mid wall splat strings, right? You can get wall splat if you're not careful about using this move. Your back is against the wall, and mind you, with it only being +1, it was more of a utility purpose to use this move than what it is in Tekken 8, where it gives you, I think, +5, and even if you make this move whiff, he comes right back up. And what I believe happened here is that in Tekken 7, they took King's animation, and mind you, this gives +7. This is +7 for him. And on counter hit, it is a launcher, right? As we can see here. But the thing is, this was also -14, and the recovery on this was also very linear, and this took a while to recover. But in Tekken 8, they took Armor King's uniqueness and his unique attributes of that move, and they gave it to King. Again, further dumbing down his uniqueness in Tekken 8. Sadly, right? I personally believe that this move should be -14 in Tekken 8. This should not be -13. It should not. Imagine you're playing Jin and you can launch this move. Imagine you can make characters second guess using this move in Tekken 8. It feels like people be throwing that move out like it's safe on block, because it's that good. It's that strong of a move in Tekken 8. And then with homing throws in Tekken 8, you don't want to step. Why would you try to step just to get counter hit thrown and then 70 damage gone? Just because you step and you try to do a defensive option. Again, his uniqueness in Tekken 8, King's uniqueness is really just going away, right? Another thing I wanted to talk about is his chain throws. His chain throws is another very unique factor in Tekken, in all of Tekken history, that was very unique, and because they were so complex to do, and they had so many different variations, they still do now in Tekken 8, but the thing is the inputs have been overly simplified. Again, another reason why I feel like they're taking away his unique factor in Tekken 8. And these chain throws are a lot more complex. So for an example, if you wanted to do Scorpion Deathlock, I didn't want to do a Shiny Wizard. Scorpion Deathlock took a lot more buttons to input, unlike in Tekken 8, where all it is 2, 1, 1 plus 3. That's it. You just did a chain grab in Tekken 8. In Tekken 7, this was a little bit different, to say the least. Excuse me, I had a cough there. So you'll go ahead, you'll start with this move, and then see, I just did that wrong. There it goes. I had to press 1 plus 2, 3, 1, 1 plus 3. And that was what would mean button buffering too. If you didn't know what button buffering is, you had to go and hold one button. And let's say the next sequence was in this case, the last one was a 1 plus 3. I would hold 3 and then 1. And then I got the button buffer because it counts as the same, right? So as you can see here, if I'm holding 1, then I'm moving and I press 3, and I'm only pressing 1 button. But it's counting as both, right? That was very, very, you had to do that for King's chain throws in Tekken 7. Now, not as much anymore. And if you still button buffer in Tekken 8, chain throws severely benefit you even more because now they're easier to do. This was never the case for Tekken 7. His chain throws were very overly specific in Tekken 7. For an example, his rolling death cradle, if I remember it, like that, what is that input? I can't even do the rest of the input because it's so odd. Yeah, and like I'm doing it right. If I'm doing, yeah, it's this, and it goes into a. Let me see if I have to really button buffer it. Yeah, that's what rolling death cradle is supposed to be, in my opinion. That's how you did that input. You see how calm I had to like I had to really think about that input, and I had to really be specific with the timing. In Tekken 8, that's not the case anymore. Now it's just doot 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 doot. You're done. You know? Even his King's Bridge, I'm not even gonna have to attempt his King's Bridge because that was so unique and different about that, and they're just taking that away from King, you know. And then, like I said before, they're taking other things from Armor King and giving it to him. Like I said, his forward neutral 2, +5 on block in Tekken 8, or on hit in Tekken 8, and if you did heat, you have homing throws. Good luck stepping King now in Tekken 8. Good luck. Right? They're just taking so much away from King. Lastly, the one thing I wanted to talk about was his rage drive. As we know, in Tekken 8, you have heat and then you have your rage. You have 2 bars that you have to worry about in Tekken 8. Unlike in Tekken 7, if you used one, you lost the other. If you used your rage art, you lost your rage drive. If you lost your rage drive, you lost your, or excuse me, if you used your rage drive, you lost your rage art. This kind of was taken away now. And the thing about King's rage drive is either you had the rage art, which if you blocked, it was launch punishable. And then the rage drive, which if you blocked, it only gave him +8 and it puts you in crouch. But so was heat. Right? So that's all that really did, and that was the full extent of you having to be like, oh, I gotta guess, right? Because if they wanted to go for a throw, you could still break that. You could still break that throw afterwards, right? So nothing fully guaranteed after that. So if you want to see, and yeah, even his combos are just a little bit weird in Tekken 7. You can go ahead for a guaranteed ground throw on that instead, right? But that was the extent, and once you used it, that's it. You lost your rage. You didn't have a whole other rage art in your pocket after putting all of this pressure that you have to deal with Tekken 8. For an example, like as we know with Jun, with Steve, and in this case with King. King can do his 3-2-2 charge it up, make you -9 on block, and now you have to deal with an unblockable high throw, a launching mid, and a power low. Did King need a power low? Did King need a fully transition step that also can cancel into a heat smash? Absolutely not. Not at all. So playing Tekken 7 has been a huge breath of fresh air. And with that being said, I've been playing a lot more of Tekken 7, and I might just have to create a whole other video about Armor King in general to talk about his unique traits too. So, but with that being said, I hope you guys could understand why I feel like King is losing his identity. I hope you can understand why Tekken 7 has been feeling a lot more refreshing. And in this case, if they're taking away Armor King's animation and properties and giving it to King, I don't want Armor King in Tekken 8. Leave him here. He's perfect the way he is. Armor King is an honest, great character to use in Tekken 7, and when you won with him, you were putting in work with him. Same with King. King was a little bit stronger, but you had to use mind games with him, and his chain throws were susceptible to being, you know, misinput, and you could mess that up. And then they also had the capability of being broken. Like, if your opponent was able to break throws, like, King was a hard character to use. But this is not the case anymore in Tekken 8. And it's a shame. So, thank you guys for just coming by this video. I hope I was able to give you some insight as to why I feel like they're losing his identity. And I would love to hear your input on this. So, but other than that, y'all take care. Be safe out there. Appreciate y'all coming by the channel.